Hello, everyone. My name is Jared. Thank you guys so much for joining me for the Heat Press Nation MyExpert live webinar. We are going to be talking about some really awesome stuff for your business, specifically the SignMaster software. So I'm very excited to be joining you guys today. I'm sorry if my microphone sounds a little so if those S's are a little harsh for anybody, I definitely want to apologize for that. Again, I'm not sure if you read the description, but in this week's webinar, we're going to be highlighting the top design tools and features in SignMaster Pro. Not only will you learn how to use these tools, but also how to use them to your advantage in your business. This webinar will be presented with beginner to intermediate SignMaster users in mind. It's also well suited for anyone interested in a VinylSystems machine who would like more information on the software. Of course, if you're not watching live and you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor, drop your questions in the comments below. We're always active in our comments, doing our very best to answer your questions as quick as possible. So I'm going to turn my webcam off. That way, this screen, you're not, nobody wants to see my face right now. We want to learn. We're here to learn, and we're here to learn about the SignMaster program, which I'm super excited about. So really quick, one thing I do want to say about SignMaster is, yes, it's definitely a great asset to have for your business. When you purchase a VinylSystems cutter like the Specialist or the Edge or the Evo, you are going to get the free SignMaster software. Now, in today's lesson webinar, I will be showing off SignMaster Pro because it has a lot more features than SignMaster Basic. If you bought a Specialist, it came with SignMaster Basic for free. You are able to upgrade to SignMaster Pro. I really think it's worth the upgrade. If you don't have the Pro, you should get it because it's very, very much worth it. As you'll see, so many awesome features. And one of the best features that we have at our disposal for SignMaster is going to be the vectorization feature. So the first thing we're going to talk about is vectorization. And that's when you convert vectorization. And actually, let me bring up my example file. So really quick, we're going to delete that. We don't need that. As you can see here, I have a high-res version and a low-res version of the exact same logo. Let me bring in the high-res version first. And the cool thing about SignMaster is you could just drag it and drop. So this is a cool little graphic we made some time back. I think I used this for our Puff episode, so I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Now, I'm zooming in, and it looks pretty good. This is a pretty clean graphic. Now, if I zoom in even further, you'll see, okay, we have a little bit of pixelation on the edges. And if I zoom in even further, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. I see. We have a little bit of pixelation on the edges. So here's the thing about vinyl cutters. Vinyl cutters, you have to have it in a vector format. This graphic is, because it's made up of a bunch of pixels, this is not a vector graphic. This is what we would call a raster image, meaning that it's made up of a bunch of individual pixels. Now, your vinyl cutter does not read pixels. It reads only vector, which is line. In short, the short version is your vinyl cutter only reads lines and shapes. It does not read pixels. So what do? Here's what I love. We're going to select our graphic, right? And this is very easy. It's going to be very easy right now. But this is money right here. We're going to go to Image, Tools, and Options. And we're going to click on Vectorize or Trace. And that's going to open up our vectorizer. So you see it's kind of processing the image here. Now here's what's cool. I'm going to make this full screen. Oh, that did not help. Oh, here we go. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. This is our vectorizer, right? Now you can see it gives me the option for one color, which if I only wanted to cut one single color of that, I totally could. Now, right down here on the bottom left, you see that where it says 2? If I increase the number of colors, now it's going to read 2 colors. And if I increase the number of colors, it's actually going to read the 3 different colors that I use. If you go up more, it might get shades, it might not. It doesn't always work. You can just adjust the number. Oh, that's another thing I love about SignMaster. If you just hover your mouse over most things, it'll give you a little hint as to what it does. So right here, it says number of colors to trace, blah, 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 blah. So here, let's just say I wanted to make a one color graphic. my customer, we're going to imagine that my customer only wants a one color graph because with vinyl, one color is cheaper than three. The defaults are actually really good in here, so I'm not really going to mess with them. Of course, you're welcome to adjust the smoothing, the corners, like how sharp you want them to be, level of detail, etc. And I don't want to, when you have replace source image selected right here, it'll delete the original image and replace it with the new one. I don't want to delete my original, so I'm going to uncheck that. I'm going to click trace. You see that? It's reading my graphic. And once it's done tracing, I'm going to click accept. And there we go. So now I move this out of the way. And of course, because this is a vector, I can make it any color I want to. I can do whatever, I can cut it out of whatever I want to. It's that easy. And then if we want to vectorize this, so this is my original, we want to vectorize it. I'm going to go back to vectorize trace. And then we would just repeat the process with the colors. So if I wanted to split this into the three colors, because maybe I want a separate cut file for my black, red, and green, I would just boost the number of colors to 4. And you can also turn off a color by right-clicking it. If I don't want the black, it's going to remove the black. If I don't want the green, it removes the green. If I don't want the red, it will remove the red. Now, one thing that you may have noticed is that this is not, well, it's good, it's not perfect. When I removed the black, you see there is still a little bit of green on there. This is where you could adjust your settings, level of detail to retain. This is just the preview. So there's a few different things that you could do if you wanted to adjust that. I'm going to leave that. We can always edit it in post. And when I say post, I mean after the process. So what we're doing here, and again, this is not perfect. Again, what this computer is doing is it's reading this image and interpreting it as shapes. And I'm about to explain what I mean as shapes right now. So you remember how when we zoomed in really close, we could see the pixelation on the edges? Well, check this out. This is why we have what we call a vector file. I'm going to zoom in super close, and no matter how close I zoom, there are no, look at that. Look how fine that I could zoom in as close as I want to, and there is no pixelation. That's because instead of rendering the image as pixels, as probably millions of little pixels, what we're actually doing is we are rendering this image as shapes. There's no little pixels, it's just shapes. And this is what the cutter needs in order to read it. Your vinyl cutter does not read pixels, it reads shapes. So in order to get it to cut, you have to trace it and render the image as shapes, as a vector. So that is really cool. So here's how that makes you money. When you're operating a print shop, most print shops do require that the artwork that is submitted be print ready, meaning your customers need to submit you artwork that is ready to go. So if your vinyl cutter requires a vector, your customers should be submitting you vector formats. If they don't, what usually happens is the print shop will charge an artwork fee or a setup fee. If you're at a screen print shop, they may charge you two separate fees. One to process your artwork, and then another fee to their setup fee usually involves like setting up screens and all that. So when you have this software, I took a few minutes because I'm talking you guys through my process. Really, I could have had that done in like 1 minute or less. It's just a few clicks. So this is something that you can offer to your clients, say, and you don't even have to charge them. What I rarely charge my customers an artwork fee. If they have the graphic and if it's something that I could trace easily, I'll do it for free. And I'll throw it in, and it adds value to the services that I provide. A great way to make sure they add value, and here's a tip, always itemize your discounts. So even though I do the artwork fee for free, I'll say, hey, usually I charge $20 to process the artwork. I charge an artwork fee. I'll waive that for you if you want to place the order, right? And so what you're doing is you're adding value to what you could provide to your customers. And so even though it's just a few clicks for me, they don't know that. Because here's the alternate, you could send them back and say, hey, this artwork is not print ready, go talk to your graphic designer and have them resubmit the files. They might have to pay their graphic designer to resubmit the files. If they're paying someone hourly to get their graphics, so it really is a good value that you can add to your customer. And even if you're not charging directly for this conversion process, it's just adds so much value to you. And on the other hand, you could offer your services. Say, hey, do you need me to convert your logo to a vector? Give me a call, blah, blah, blah. I'll charge you this much. And you charge for your time at that point, which should be anywhere from $20 to $35 an hour or more. Please value your time appropriately. So yeah, so that's vectorization. You saw how easy it was to do both the one color and the multicolor. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my screen here. So, last point that I want to make and we're going to be talking more about this in detail a little bit later, is that sometimes customers will give you a garbage file. So you see, at first, this file that we have right here, this is my high-res copy. Really quick. So this vectorization tool, it's not foolproof, and it's definitely not garbage proof. So here we see, you'll notice this picture is a lot smaller. Well, because it's a lot more garbage. Look, you can already see the pixelations right here. And as I get closer, you see, oh my gosh, they probably got this from Google Images. Like, this is a garbage file. But sometimes customers give you what they got. So I'm not going to adjust any settings. I'm just going to do a real quick trace and accept. You see here that it's not beautiful, right? This is not a good file, right? Just by looking at it, like, I can't even tell what the letters say down here. The text up here, it's okay. It's a little warbly, all right? Now, what you could do is, this is where you would actually charge for your work. Say, hey, I'm sorry, the artwork is too cheap for me. I'm going to have to recreate it. And then that's when you charge. So yeah, sometimes you can only polish a turd so much, right? So anyway, just wanted to give that little heads up. I'm going to actually talk more about recreating graphics to help make money in SignMaster. But first, we got to talk about shape editing. So that's the first part of our vectorization topic. Next, we're going to talk about shape editing. So for that, I'm going to use a few basic shapes. We're going to get rid of these ones. And yes, I'm going to use a square. Then I'm going to use a circle. And I'm just going to color one of them different so we can see exactly what I'm doing. So now this is the part where if you're really new to SignMaster and you really want to be good at graphic design and editing your customers' shapes and even creating your own graphics, this is definitely the part that you want to pay attention to. So the first basic things you're going to want to learn are in shape editing. And for that, we're going to go over here. So we have a few different tools here. Actually, we'll have to select these. Few different tools here. This is our outline. You see all these. I'm going to go through a bunch of these really quick, just because there's a lot to cover. All right, there's a lot to cover. But first, these are the basic tools. So typically, you have weld. All right, what that means is it's going to combine them together. So we had two separate shapes, and now we have one shape. So I'm going to hit Control-Z to just undo. Next, we have punch out. So whatever tape. And it explains it. You see how I'm hovering my mouse over? It explains it. It'll remove the shape of the object above from the shape below. So when you click punch out, it just took that out. Right there. Very easy. Stamp. Stamp removes the one from the bottom out of the top. So stamp is just the same as punch out, just instead of taking top out of the bottom, takes bottom out of the top. And then there's a few more welding tools, of course. Combine is this one. I never use combine. It combines them both, but removes the overlap. Like, I haven't really had much use for that, but it's there. And then, of course, welding tools is just going to open up the panel over here. When you're doing different artwork, you might want to just keep this tab open. If you're working with a lot of things and you're going to be doing a lot of welding and punching and combining, sometimes, like, you can combine lots of different shapes for different effects. I don't know, if I wanted to combine all of these together, I would just click weld, and then now I have my new shape. So welding, that's like really basic tool. So the next, and we're gonna, there's a lot to cover right here. So I'm just gonna go over the basics really quick. I'm gonna run you through the outline module. All right. So there's outline, drop shadow, block shadow, and they're all pretty self-explanatory, and they all have a few different things. The one that I love is block shadow. So block shadow, right? This is really cool. You could adjust the size and the kind of like the perspective of the block shadow. There's a little cross right here. You can adjust the angle of the block shadow. And then there's another place right here. You could adjust how close the block shadow is, or how much like the offset. You can adjust the offset of the block shadow. You can like make it smaller. There's and the reason you might say, oh, that's kind of dumb. No. Do you know how hard this? Not how hard. Sorry. You know how time consuming this is. Without this single tool, you're having to create additional shapes, and it's such a drag to add a block shadow. So I love that there's a block shadow tool. And then when you're done with it, you could just right click and you can convert it to curves, and then boom. And now your block shadow, of course, we want to ungroup them. So now you have it separate if you want to. Where I love block shadow, and I think I've talked about this before, is text. So really quick, I'm going to talk more about the text tool, but just for the sake of this, all right. Oh, look, man, I'm such an egotistical maniac, right? Jared is cool. How dumb is this, right? So really quick, and then I just want to center my text. Okay. Right. So this is right. Whatever. Right. This is dumb. Make that red. I love the block shadow for text. I think it's just, and again, you could just do so many things with it. You might not care for text, but I know some of you guys are like, oh man, that's rad. And here's why it's rad. Okay. So now I'm going to convert it to curves to just lock in my shape. Oh, sorry, I got to ungroup it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch it out. So now this is a one color graphic. So it looks three-dimensional, but it's only one color. So I could pop this onto a t-shirt if I want to. And obviously this is lame. I know it says Jared is cool. No one's putting that on a t-shirt, right? But what I mean is you could put whatever text you want, whatever graphic you want, and you could make it 3D with one color. So you're adding value to your graphics. I've noticed a lot that this is very popular for jersey numbering. And let's get a more jersey type font. I'm gonna switch over to, we're gonna talk about fonts right now. Okay. So this is block shadow. And I don't want to move it. I just want to, there we go. Keep it nice and tight. Block shadowing your jersey numbers, super cool. A lot of people love that. So yeah, so that's the block shadow. There's a couple different things you can do. A drop shadow is a little bit different. It's gonna knock it out and it's not gonna be connected. So it'll be separate from your graphic. And then you can set how far the drop shadow is gonna be. So this is different. Some people might say, oh, I would just duplicate it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's saving you like so many steps. It makes doing things like this so much faster. And I'm going to convert to curves, and now I could do it any color I want to. Even if I kept the same color, you know, I'm only doing a one color graphic on something. It's still really easy. It's still really cool. I just added a little bit of flair to this, super duper quick. So let's drop shadow, block shadow, outline effect, inline effect. So outline is going to add something on the outside. And then inline is going to add on the inline. Now you may not see it at first because it's underneath. So inline, and that's when I would just go to the outline module. Here's the outline module. This is what I like because you could really fine tune your outline. What you want to do is change it to a color that you can actually see. So we're going to zoom in a little bit here. I usually change it to something like that I can you just want to be able to see it. So you see that as I increase the outline percentage, that makes it bigger. And if you go negative, well, it's hard to see. You won't be able to really see it. There's a slight outline there. Probably shouldn't have done this with a black text. Actually, if I do this with a light gray text, that should help. You can kind of see the outline. There it is. Turn that on so we can see it. So now if you go negative, it's going to cut inside of your graphic instead of outside. And you can fine tune that as much as you want. And now object and display tools ordered. I'm just sending it to the front. There we go. You know, there's different things that you can do with these. And honestly, these are all tools that are going to make you awesome. And then so the last thing I wanted to show you guys really quick, this is not it. This is not the right font to use, but you guys know what I'm doing, right? So here we have our distortions panel. Now I love this because it's these are pre-made. These are some of the most common distortions that you're going to see and use when creating your designs. One of the more famous one is the flag distortion. So I'm just going to grab these points and I'm going to pull them and edit them to my liking. And now you guys see like, oh, and in case you don't know, this is obviously a parody of the, I believe it's the Anti-Social Social Club. Very popular t-shirt line, props to them. And also it's a very popular parody. So I don't know exactly what the thing is right there, but this is just a quick version, obviously. There we go, Anti-Amazon Heat Press Club. And again, this is the quick version. I know if I took a little bit more time, I could have had this looking a heck of a lot better with the right font. But really what I just want to show off is the different distortions, and then you can also stack distortions. The corner distortion is pretty neat. You can see here that like, it's kind of like the flag one, but it's not. It gives the appearance that, you know, your item is on the corner, right? Some of these you may not use, but I guarantee you that when it's time to do a distortion or something like that, having this tool at your disposal is going to make it just so much faster. And time is money. Time really is money. So this is a huge advantage to you. First of all, it's going to add value to you as a designer. So having these shape editing tools at your disposal is really going to add value to you as a designer. You just might have somebody come up to you and say, hey, I have an idea for a shirt. I want to do the anti-no sleep club or whatever, right? And then because now you know that you have these tools at your disposal, now instead of saying, I don't know, now you could say, oh yeah, dude, I got you. And then you could charge them for your design services. So it really adds value to you as a designer. It allows you to say yes more often to the question, can you do this? Because I guarantee you that's always going to come up. Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? And what I've learned is you probably want to say yes more than no. Because once you give somebody, especially a potential customer, once you give them too many no's, they're just gonna be like, oh, this guy doesn't know anything. And then they're not going to come back to you. So if they say, hey, can you do this? Give them a little bit of a, you know what, I believe I can. How about let me get back to you in blah, blah, blah. Do a test, you know, at home first. But really having these design tools and skills are really going to help you say yes to more jobs. And of course, more jobs means more money. And also it's going to allow you to develop your skills as a designer to create your own original graphics. I in addition to doing t-shirts on the side, I do my own t-shirts. This is one of them. This is like a modified graphic that I had licensed. But yeah, I sell my own line of t-shirts, with my own designs, and then I do t-shirts for other people. Sometimes you got to run both of them. And then of course I work here. This is my it's my regular job. But yeah, being able to offer your own designs, especially if you're more creative, if you have really cool ideas, if you're already making t-shirts for yourself and your friends are like, dude, I want one. You definitely want to have skills as a designer. So you saw I really quickly covered the text tool. Delete this. The cool thing about SignMaster Pro is that it automatically loads, and I'm going to do an example text. Now, of course, if I click the text tab, I can increase my font size right here, right? That's obviously you need to adjust your font size. But what's really cool is we're going to click back on the font here, and we're going to click on available fonts. Whatever font you have installed in your computer will if it's compatible, and most of them are, if it's compatible, it's automatically going to come up in SignMaster. So customers often ask, does SignMaster come with fonts? It does not come with fonts. It will automatically load whatever you already have. So if I wanted to do this in Old English, boom, I now have this in Old English, which I can't even really read that. So I don't know how helpful that is. I have a few things to cover here really quick. But anyways, example text, we could just change it to whatever we want. So many fonts to choose from. I'm not even going to get into font selection. There's way too much. Really quick, I do want to kind of tag in and say that you do have also options over here. A lot of the tools that I talk about, you can keep them permanently on the side here, like text tools. So even if I switch to other tools on my left, this text tool menu is going to stay on my right. Sometimes when I'm making a design and I'm doing my final edit, I'll leave my alignment tools on, aligned to the last object select. So I'll leave my alignment and distribution tools to make sure everything is straight. Of course, you have object manager. I don't really mess with that one. If I'm coloring things, you have your pen, fill style, all these. So you have lots of different tools available that you can keep open. For me, I find myself very often leaving open the text tool module over here, menu over here, and then I also leave the weld and shape. And then I always, like especially when I'm editing, because you don't want things to be misaligned, always have this open. But for now, we're gonna leave the text tools open. You could bring up over here. So whatever text is selected, I can just edit that here. I can go through all my fonts, stencil, can do whatever I want. Now here's a really interesting feature that I love, love, love. It's called arc text. Sorry, so when you select arc text, you'll have to create a new one. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I have my arc text tool selected. And when you click, it'll create a circle from the center. So wherever you click at is going to be the center. And so now, oh, okay, well, I'm definitely going to change this font, right? So really quick, let me just put that into something we can read. There we go. That's kind of cool. So here's what I love about the arc text tool. It puts your graphic on a perfect circle. You could change different things like the shape of your circle, but I like leaving it as is. If you grab the X right here, it'll just move it. Right here, you could shorten the size of your circle, right? Increasing the curve, right? If you put your text on a bigger circle, of course, the font size will stay the same, but your circle size will change. If you want to change the font size, of course, you would just go here, change that. Okay, so I love this. The reason why I love this is because sometimes doing a text on a circle takes so doggone long. And what I also love is that you could double up. Oh, so I'm going to hit enter. There it is. It's this blue little arrow right here. Reveal, hide, advanced tools. Okay, this little one right here. Actually, we'll do this. Fullerton, California. There we go. Being able to make sure that they're evenly spaced on top and bottom, you guys, that takes so long in a lot of other programs. So I really love the circle text tool. And then when you're ready to lock it in, you just right click it. Oh, not combine. Did that work? No. Convert to curves. That locks it in as its own shape. And then now it's its own editable thing. Super easy. There's another tool that I really like. and it's called Fit Text to Path. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw. Actually, I'm going to draw this freehand really quick. Sometimes you want your text to follow an odd shape, right? So now I'm going to, oh, right. So first I'm going to just do regular text. 7 years ago. How cute, right? I'm going to select the text that I want, and I'm going to hold the Shift key and click my new shape that I just drew. We're going to right click this and fit text to path. And now my text is fit along the path. I could drag it over, right? Depending on where I want it to go, it'll even follow the path under the line. This is a really cool creative feature. What I found is that in drawings sometimes, and of course you can expand that bigger if you want it to not necessarily touch your path, but to go somewhere along it. That's cool. Again, moving it around and it's following your path. So this is really cool if you have an odd shaped item in your graphic, but you want the text to follow along the edge. If it's already a path, you could just click, add to path, or you could freehand just draw along the outside. Obviously, I am terrible at that, so I wouldn't do that myself, but you definitely can. And again, this is the Fit Text to Path tool. So to use that, you'll need to have a path and the text separately, and then this will help you fuse them together. And then you could edit from there. So I could still add stuff to it if I want to. Enter, things get crazy, so just practice. Okay, so here is how this will make you money. I'm gonna just get rid of everything here. Do you guys remember this low resolution graphic, right? We're gonna vectorize it, and I'm gonna keep it 3 colors. I'm gonna trace it. I'm going to accept it. So you see how some of it is garbage, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna ungroup this. So I don't need that. This established 2018, that's ugly. It's not going to work on my customer's graphic. This rose, because it's this will work. The roses are cool. The rest of the graphic's cool, especially if let's just say this was like a pocket logo or something. But this established 2018, that is a no-go, my friends. That's ugly. So here's where the text tool comes in really great and where it's going to make you money. We're just going to type it in. Right. Well, obviously this font is too big, so we're gonna match it. And then ideally you would ask your customer, hey, what font did you use? And then if they say, I don't know, then you're gonna have to tell them, say, hey, okay, I'm gonna do my best to match this font. And we're gonna get it as close as possible. And you don't want to really blame them per se. But you have to communicate with your customers in a way that's like, hey, look, I did my very best, dude, but you gave me garbage artwork. there's a way to have that conversation where you say, hey, look, the graphic you gave me was just not the resolution we needed. I couldn't, and you can even show them, look, when we convert this for our t-shirts, it looks really bad. And then you don't know what font you even use, so I'm gonna have to do my best. And if they don't like it, then they can go somewhere else. I mean, I hate doing that, but I don't know. There's a way to properly communicate with your customer. Like, hey, we're gonna do a font substitution. And if they say, oh no, it has to be that font, then it's their responsibility to tell you what font that is. So I've broken my neck going through literally thousands of fonts trying to find an exact font match for a customer. And when they should have just texted somebody and saved me like an hour of font searching. So learn from my mistakes, guys. I don't have anything in my library here that's a perfect fit. So this is an instance where I would say, hey, look, I don't have an exact fit. Now, obviously, I could go online and download more, but that's a different topic. There, I notice here there's not really a space right there. So I'm going to convert this to curves. And I think if I shrink it a little bit, it'll be, yeah. So what I do is when I'm replacing something, I'll color mine in like pink. Object and display tools, order, I'm going to send it to the back. That means it's now behind this one, and then I can click on this one and delete it. And I'll just change this back to the color. So this font tool right here, this is saving my butt on this job. Maybe it's a customer that I really like. Maybe I'm not even going to charge them for the font editing because maybe they just spend a lot of money with me and I want to do them this favor. That's cool too. So this creator's font, this is, it's all right. It'll fly. Always ask your customer, oh, here's something. I don't know why it picked up green right here. Probably because the color's bad. You could point edit too. So what I would do right here is, see how it took a chunk out of this? You can just like literally grab it and fix it. It's that easy, folks. And obviously I would spend more time making that more perfect. I'm just editing this shape. Really simple, just a few clicks using the point editing tool. What I love about this tool, it's real intuitive. So like this, I'm just kind of grabbing away, and these points, I can click here, just kind of stretch it out, drag it out. Of course, you want to take more time to really nail it. But that's a lot better already. You know, so you could do for this font, if you can't find the exact font, what you could do is just go in and clean it up. That'll take you a long time. Making all of these squiggly lines straight, that's a drag. And that's up to you. That's your call. If they can't provide you the original font, tell them, okay, I can clean it up, but it's going to be at least 2 hours, and then you just bill them your hourly rate. You're like, all right, I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to have to bill you for 2 more hours at $50 an hour, because that's what professional graphic design costs. And then now I don't mind. If someone's paying me $50 an hour, I'll do it. I don't care. So you could use a combination of a few tools to really just smooth things over, make it cute. And they need to know, like, hey, look, you gave me garbage artwork, so it's going to cost you. So yeah, ideally, you would just find the replacement font and type it out. If it's an impossible font to find, then you could clean it up manually. And that's a conversation you want to have with your customer. But just having these text tools are really, really valuable. Another thing, and I talked about numbering jerseys last week, just having the fonts available for numbering jerseys is already great. And then you could like, let's say we're doing like a name and number. So obviously the number is going to be bigger. We're going to make this bigger so everyone can see. You could do a flat number. Nothing wrong with just having the straight flat number. But what I've noticed, especially for kids with longer last names, or even just in general, drop a little, oh no, whoops. Drop a little, that's a big, drop a little curve on the names, you know? It just, I don't know. It adds more flair. It looks better. It's cooler. It just adds value. And when your customers get more value from you than another company, they're going to choose you. So it's really helping you keep your customers, keep them happy, and honestly, just it's cooler. Again, some of them, whatever, they might, here, I'm going to lock that in. They might want the flat, boring, whatever. I don't care. A lot of them are going to see this, even, it's so funny. A slight curve took me 14 extra seconds, and I have this. So it's cooler. Using these different text tools is really going to help you out. Everybody loves text on t-shirts. And then if you go to sites like, oh geez, there's a few like Lost Type, the font, anywheres, there's a lot. So really quick, we're going to talk about nesting and auto fit. So let's say you did only have a 12-inch by 12-inch piece of material. So what you would do is you're going to click on just the background, and you see how it right here in the top left corner it says A4. A lot of popular page sizes. I think I could just type in 12 inches. Nope. I will show you how to convert to inches later. let's just say, I think it's like 360 millimeters. No, around there, right? Whatever. For the sake of this conversation, I'm going to pretend this is 12 inches by 12 inches. Okay. Anyways, let's say you have a lot of things to fit and they're kind of big and they're not all fitting, but you want to cut them all together. Or you want to, whatever, right? There's a really cool tool called Arrange, and you click Nest to Page. So this was able to fit everything so basically everything that's able to fit in this page, it did fit. Now let's say I didn't want this piece, and so we'll move everything around and we'll try it again. So this is a great answer to the question, like, can it fit? Now you'll notice I could still kind of fit it over here. It's going by the dotted lines. So you may still need to tweak it a little bit. You see how how the rows design is invading the space of my name and number. So it's not going to lie to overlap like that. Even though I could fit it, I'll just have to cut around it. It's going to play it a little bit more safe. So now this is really cool because sometimes you have a small chest logo, right? And you have a bunch of them that you want to fit on your whatever, right? So we're going to send this to cut, and we're going to increase the quantity. I need to cut 20 of these. So this is going to give me a great preview of how to cut 20, because in other programs I might have to copy and paste this 20 times. So instead of having to do it 20 times over, you just click on one of them. We're going to send it to cutter, and I'm going to increase my that. Of course, your media width, if this is obviously using a full width, if I had a 15-inch piece of vinyl, and this is set to millimeters right now, and I don't remember off the top of my head how to fix that. So you could fill it out. You could rotate it. So now it'll fit going long ways. Before the other way, it was going wide. There we go. Also, the mirror option is checked. So for this, I'm going to zoom in. It automatically, it's not showing it. It automatically mirrors. So you'll notice that when I send things to cut, I don't mirror them, because in the software, it's going to mirror it automatically for me. I leave that one checked. That's a default setting for me. You could separate by color. If I just wanted to cut the black portion of my text of this graphic only, because remember, this is a 3-color graphic. It's black, red, and green. You can just, if you only want to cut one of those colors, you can. It adds the weed box automatically. Lots of really great features. And so anyways, this nesting and auto fit and multiple per quantity, like all of that saves you materials, which in turn saves you time. So I absolutely love that. Being able to save materials is super duper key. You don't want to waste a whole sheet of something when you could fit, on one graphic, when you could fit 6 on there. And one thing you'll notice is that the deeper you get into vinyl cutting, the more you're going to be like, man, I need to cram as many jobs as I possibly can. Another thing, the last thing I'm going to say about this topic is sometimes you run multiple jobs at once. You're like, man, I got one piece of vinyl left, but I need to fit like this job, and they're both on the same color. Run them together, cut them on the same piece of vinyl, and just trim them out separately. Really great way to save time and money and materials on your jobs together. So that's going to conclude it for this SignMaster Pro tutorial. I want to thank you guys so much for sticking with me and watching this. If you're watching online and you're not live, please feel free to drop your comments in below. Okie doke. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for me. I've done enough talking for one day. I want to once again appreciate you for joining me for this MyExpert live webinar today, talking about SignMaster Pro and how you can work smarter, not harder. Thank you so much. We'll see you around.